In this class we are going to start with the first unit in computer architecture and organization paper, that is a basic structure of computers. Okay, so before going to start this first unit, first we should learn about the introduction about the paper. Okay, so that is nothing but computer organization and architecture. So it means many of people will think that it is a parts of the computer. Okay, so computer organization and computer architecture is nothing but many of people will think that it is a parts of the computer. So that means this subject speaks about the only parts of the computer. So generally what are the parts of the computer? So parts of the computer means generally we know that is nothing but like keyboard, right, mouse, monitor, like printers, scanners, web camera, like speakers. So these are all parts of the computers, right? But it's wrong. Okay, so it's completely wrong. So that is nothing but the computer architecture or organization is nothing but it is a internal parts of the computer. So whatever the parts of the computer just now we discussed, no, so that parts of the computer we are calling like a physical parts of the computer. Okay, so but organization is nothing but, or organizing is nothing but how our computer is designed and it will work. Okay, so organizing or organization is nothing but how our computer is designed and how it will work. Here we are not going to see the physical parts. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about the working of internal parts of the computer. Okay, so when I say internal parts, first what is the meaning of internal parts? So internal parts of the computer in the sense like motherboard, like a RAM or cache memory or ROM. Okay, so all these are the internal parts of the computer. Okay, so that means which is present inside of the cabinet, that is called as the internal parts of the computer. Okay, so which are inside of this which are present inside of the system, that is called as the internal parts of the computer. Okay, so that is the computer organization and architecture. So now we'll go with the in the first unit. What is the first concept in that means? So that is nothing but functional units of a computer. This is our first concept in the first unit. So that is basic structure of computer means we should learn about the computer concepts. So what is the structure of computers and what are the units it consists and what is the internal operation it consists. So now all those things we have to discuss in the first unit. Okay, so first in that first what is the topic means we are having functional units of a computer. Okay, let's see here. That means here functional units of the computer is nothing but generally we can say that block diagram of a computer. Simply we can say that functional units, that is nothing but internal parts of the computer or block diagram of the computer. So how it will operate, okay, which are inside the that means which components are present inside of the system, so and how it will work. Okay, so that is called as the functional units of the computer. So now we will learn that concept. Okay, so it is very essential to understand the functional units of the computer. Okay, so now we'll see here functional units of a computer can be explained as simply with a help of the block diagram of the computer. That means which is consist of input unit, control unit. That means first one is input unit and then we are having the control unit. Okay, and below of that, okay, so below of this control unit we are having one very important part of our computer, that is nothing but ALU. Okay, so which is called as the arithmetic logic unit. ALU is nothing but which is called it as arithmetic logic unit. This is combined together, that means control unit and ALU we call it as CPU. While combine these together we can call it as the processor or we can call it as CPU. Okay, so generally we talk about this we talk about every computer, CPU is known as the brain of the computer, that all we knows, right? Without CPU there is no computer. Okay, so without this CPU there is no computer at all. So what is this CPU? CPU is nothing but it is the combination of control unit as well as arithmetic logic unit. Okay, remember one thing, only CPU won't do any work. Okay, so only CPU won't do any work in a computer along with a CPU in order to do the multiple tasks. Okay, so without processor, without CPU, so the computer cannot work and it won't do any calculations or it won't do any operations. Okay, so only with the help of or along with the CPU in order to do the multiple tasks. Okay, so in that we need one more component, that is memory unit. Okay, so and another component we are having, that is output unit also. So from input unit the data will be given to the CPU, that means control unit and ALU. So they will perform some calculations and processing the data will be given to the output unit. Okay, so what is the explanation about this functional unit means, in generally the input unit will take the information, after that it will gives to the processor block. So the processor means it will take the, that means the data will be given to the control unit and ALU, it will be perform the calculations and monitoring the operation. So then it will be given to the output unit. That is the general information about the functional unit. So hopefully we got some clarity here. That means first of all, what is the job of here input unit means, now we will see the brief explanation about this functional unit. So input unit work is whenever the user presses the keys from the keyboard or whenever the user uses the mouse on a computer, the data will be immediately given to the input unit. Okay, so here whenever the user, okay, so whenever the user uses the keyboard or whenever the user uses the mouse, okay, so then automatically the data will be given to the input unit. Okay, so whenever the user presses the keys from the keyboard or whenever the user uses the mouse on a computer, the data will be immediately given to the input unit. Okay, so what that input unit will do here? So input unit is going to do, it will take the data, then by analyzing the data, okay, so first take that information from the keyboards, after that it will be analyzing the data, then it will be passed to the CPU box. Okay, so this is nothing but CPU. Okay, so after analyzing the data with the help of input unit, so then directly the data will be given to the processor block. Okay, so then CPU means here we'll have the two units, no, one is control unit and another one is ALU unit. So here control unit, what it will do means, control unit is completely monitoring the all the activities. Okay, so that is nothing but monitoring means it controlling. Okay, so it controlling the all activities in the CPU. Okay, so just control unit means it controls the all activities of a computer, and ALU, what it will do means, ALU means that meaning is nothing but arithmetic logic unit. The name itself, it will do the work is, it will perform the arithmetic and logical calculations. It will perform the arithmetic and logical operations. Okay, so simply we can say that it will perform the calculations only. Okay, so now let us say one small example here, that suppose we want to do some task on a calculator. Okay, so here this, it will perform the calculators, it will be perform the calculations. No, for that I need to take one example here with the help of calculator. Okay, so with the help of calculator I want to do one task here. So that is nothing but there I want to add two numbers. Okay, so here I want to add two numbers. So we want to add on a calculator. So here I want to do adding the two numbers with the help of calculator. So how it will be added means, here generally we can say that calculator is also a one small electronic machine itself, right? So we want to treat that as an example of a computer also without any problem. Remember that one, okay? Calculator is also a one of the computer. We can treat that as an example of a computer also without any problem. Remember that one. So let us take an calculator. Here I want to add the two numbers. What are the two numbers means, here I am going to take the two numbers as one is x and another one is y, okay? So here x is equal to what are the values of x is nothing but, here x is equal to I am going to take as 3 and y is equals to I am going to take as 2, okay? So in this example, what are the inputs? The inputs are x and y. What are the values of x and y? X is equals to 3 and y is equals to 2. So this 3 and 2 will be taken by input unit. So here these are the input data, no? So that input data will be given to the input unit. Okay, so user given the data x is equals to 3 and y is equals to 2, with the help of keyboard that will be entered information into the input unit. Okay, so then after that those two values will be given to the input unit. So then what our input unit will do after taking that input data? So that means it won't do any calculations directly, okay? So after giving the information with the help of keyboard, so the input unit only take that information, okay, by analyzing that information, but it won't do any calculations, okay? So after that taking that information, so then it will be given to the CPU block, okay? So these values will be passed to the CPU block. So now the CPU, what it will do? So CPU, just the values will be given to the either control unit or whether it is given to the ALU, means values will be directly given to the ALU box, because control unit won't do any calculations, it just controlling the all the activities in the CPU, okay? So directly we can say that in this ALU will got the calculations, right? ALU will performs the calculations. That's why the input data, whatever the input data we are having, x is equal to 3, y is equal to 2. So that means addition operation, whatever it consists, that directly given to the ALU box. Okay, so the CPU will give that information into the ALU box. Okay, so in the name itself, answer is there, that is it will do the addition operation also. It performs the arithmetical and logical operations. So here in the next step, what ALU will do means, here ALU will add these two numbers, x is equal to 3 and y is equals to 2. Okay, so that will do as ALU will do it as x plus y. So that means 3 plus 2. So we'll get the result as 5. Okay, so here first the input unit will take the information directly, that after taking the input data, so it will be given to the ALU box. So ALU will take that information, and which operation is performed here, that will be observed with the help of input unit. So here the input unit will be gives the condition, that is nothing but addition operation we need to do. So then automatically ALU will do that addition operation. That means here the control signal will be raise the condition, that is nothing but it will be do the addition operation. So then only ALU will do the addition operation only. Okay, so whatever the result we got, that will be given to the output unit. Okay, so whatever the result we are getting, so that result we are giving to the output unit. Okay, so in simple words, x and y values will be passed to the CPU. This ALU will perform the x plus y, okay, and then whatever the result we got, that we can imagine as, okay, so x and y will be input values, no? So like that I can imagine the y value may be, the output value I can imagine as z. So this z value will be given to the output unit. Okay, so now coming to the control unit, what it will do? So just the control unit is nothing but it will be controlling the all the activities, right? As we know that the entire computer system, which is the main part, means in the computer, which is the main part, means that is motherboard, right? Again in the motherboard, which is the important part is nothing but that is CPU. Okay, so again in CPU, which is the important part, means that is control unit. Okay, so the control unit will monitors the entire activities of the CPU. Okay, so when we are talking about the CPU is doing the work internally, control unit is doing the work. Okay, so that means whenever we are talking about the CPU is doing the work, means internally the control unit is also doing the work. Okay, so coming to memory unit, so the last box we are having here, control memory unit. So what is the working of memory unit means? Here what is the job of memory unit means? It will store the information. Okay, so what is the memory unit job means? It will be store the information. That information we can store in temporarily, not in permanently. So for that we have used here the memory will be as RAM. Okay, so whatever the result we are getting, so that result we can store in the memory box. Okay, so this is the functional units of the computer. Okay, in the computer what it will do means, what is the working principle of each and every functional unit means, this is the working principle. So first input unit means, once again I will remind ma, input unit is nothing but it will take the input data from the user, that means with the help of keyboard or with the help of mouse, the user can use that information. Okay, so once entered that information with the help of keyboard and mouse, so then that will be given to the input unit. So it will take the data and analyzing the data. Okay, so but it won't do any calculations after taking the data. Directly it will be passed to the next level. So that next level is nothing but we are having the processor. Okay, so that means input unit will take the information that will be given to the processor block. So whenever the information is reached the processor block, the processor having the two boxes again in that. Okay, two functional units in that again internally. That is nothing but one is control unit and another one is ALU. So control unit, it won't do any calculations, it just monitoring the, or it just controlling the all the activities. Okay, so whenever the input data we are giving, so that input data will be directly given to the ALU. So it will be perform the calculations, that whatever that operation it needs, that may be addition or subtraction or multiplication or division, all the operations can be operated by this ALU. Okay, so here the operation is performed. So whichever the result we are getting or whatever the result we are getting, so that result we got from the ALU, that is given to the output unit. Okay, so and what about the control unit means, while going the operation, then it will be monitoring the activities. Okay, so and output unit is nothing but it will just take that information only and it exhibits through the monitor. Okay, so that is nothing but output unit can display the information. Okay, so now whatever the result we got, that result will be stored in the memory unit. That will be in permanent, not only permanently, it will be stored in temporary purpose. Okay, so this is the explanation about the functional units of a computer.